Well, it is prime time for prescribed pasture burning to occur in the Great Plains. Now, prescribed burning is a key aspect of rangeland management, but it must be conducted carefully to avoid legal liability. And of course, weather plays a big role in this. Roger McEowen with the Washburn University School of Law joins us now with some guidance in today's Rural Money segment. Thanks for joining us, Roger. Let's start with some background on the benefits of burns.
Well, good to be with you, Christina. And yes, we are starting to get close to that time where a lot of these areas in the Great Plains, as well as even out into the eastern areas of Washington and Oregon, will be burned, and that's done on purpose because it is a very effective and affordable means of reversing as well as controlling the negative impacts of woody plant growth and the expansion of that growth that might damage native grassland. Plus, it plays a role, I think, in limiting wildfire risk, and we don't want the problems in the Great Plains that other areas of the country get into when they don't burn underbrush. And so there's a couple of twin purposes there that make it a really good idea to burn pasture ground.
Absolutely. Really brought into the forefront by California. It was really brought into the conversation. Do burning regulations vary by state? How does that work?
They do. This is a matter of state law, and it's primarily in the administrative regulatory code of a particular state, not so much in state statutes. But it's typically some state agency that sets the rules for burning in that state. And basically, they're looking at what is exempt, what type of agricultural practices are exempt from a typical ban on outdoor burning. And they tend to deal with trying to avoid traffic hazards and smoke blowing across public roadways and giving notice to appropriate authorities when you're going to conduct a burn. And there may even be areas in certain states that have special rules. I know, for example, in Kansas, the Flint Hills have a set of rules that apply there that don't necessarily apply in other areas of the states. But that's what you want to look for under any particular state's rules as to when you conduct a burn, when do you give notice, what must the wind speeds be, what about the weather conditions, and the possibility of it impacting traffic. Those seem to be the big issues.
You know, we always like to check out how this could impact our wallet. When it comes to what's monetary, it really helps us drive our decisions. Let's talk about the legal liability principles that producers need to keep in mind. What's it cost here?
Yeah, that's a big issue, and basically it comes down to whether the conduct, if damage occurs to, say, an adjacent tract or smoke gets across the roadway and an accident occurs, are you going to be judged under a negligence standard or a strict liability standard? And basically, in most of the states, it's a negligence standard. So in states such as Kansas, as well as some of the other states in the Great Plains where a lot of burning occurs, unless you were grossly negligent, you're not going to be held responsible for fire damage that might escape your property and get onto an adjoining tract or blow smoke across the roadway. But to get that, you have to follow all of the underlying administrative rules. So you've got to make sure you check all those boxes and do the burn properly, and you probably won't be held strictly liable in that situation if damage occurs.
Yeah, because the way that grossly negligent is interpreted as well is something that we have to keep in mind. You know, you have taught us so much, Roger. We're grateful for you. Roger McEowen with the Washburn University School of Law. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today.